What's up, welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with the review of Red One, the new action comedy film from Jake Kasdan, starring Chris Evans and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I got this film a little bit early with those advanced screenings. It's coming out this week. And yeah, I'll just kind of jump in. Vague spoilers, not a spoiler intense movie for sure, but I'll be talking about it a bit. This, of course, is the reunion between The Rock and Jake Kasdan, who directed the recent Jumanji films. So, The Rock, obviously a very involved producer, working with someone he's comfortable with on a big production. And this is a film that was originally dated for holiday of last year and was delayed. So we heard about this from the strikes, but also apparently there's a lot of issues behind the scenes with this movie. The budget ballooned over $200 million. It was a troubled production from what we've heard. You can read about that on the wrap for more information. But movie's finally out. And of course, a movie with The Rock and Chris Evans, two massive A-list stars, warrants attention no matter what. Also familiar faces including J.K. Simmons and Lucy Liu and Kieran Shipka and Nick Kroll. Like, it's a pretty packed cast for sure. On its surface, Red One is a pretty tight concept. What if someone kidnaps Santa Claus? Featuring Chris Evans playing a schwarmy dirtbag with a heart of gold, something he's done before, and The Rock playing a stoic head of security, taking himself way too seriously, something The Rock does all the time. A lot of that sounds fine and familiar. The issue with Red One is this movie gets really off the rails and becomes a monotonous slog over the course of 2 hours. It's taking a lot of pieces from other Christmas movies. There's a lot of familiar beats in here, and I think if it committed to maybe less of those beats and therefore develop some of them a bit more, the movie would be a bit more beyond just being like this passable, bare minimum like success, if you could call it that. A lot of the character work really struggles with this movie because there's just way too much plot to process. And I think some of the most intriguing elements about the movie, namely like the North Pole operation that Santa runs in this film, it ultimately gets short shrift as the movie has to jet set around the world. J.K. Simmons is amusing as Santa Claus. He's not in the movie a ton, primarily in the beginning, but like obviously J.K. Simmons, he's gotten swole in his older years. Really fun, fits the role well, and the original premise of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Caleb Drift character as the head of North Pole security, his lead bodyguard, effectively. Interesting, right? And it's the ELF is the acronym we learn. And is The Rock actually an elf? We don't know. There's some clever twists on Christmas convention along those lines. And when we spend time in the secluded North Pole, I think it's pretty cool. I'd like to spend more time in the North Pole in this movie, and I wish the rampant CGI you get depicting this futuristic hidden North Pole civilization, I wish that was it looked decent at all. I think a lot of that CGI establishing work is really garish. Chris Evans also doing a role he can play well. He's great as a charismatic dirtbag, a la Knives Out. The problem I think with this movie is that it wants to redeem Chris Evans' character, Jack, this hacker and bounty hunter who unwittingly does hack work leading to the kidnapping of Santa, and this is of course days before Christmas, so everyone getting their presents is under siege, under threat, and I think all that's pretty engaging as a premise for a holiday movie as far as these things go. But it just kind of gets off the rails from there. I think the villain is a complete non-entity. Kieran Shipka as Grilla, the Icelandic ice witch who hates Christmas, and I thought that was just completely half-baked to say the least, and there's just no tension, and it resolves really dully at the end of the film. Christopher Hughes, aka Tormund from Game of Thrones, he also plays Krampus, the brother of Santa Claus, of course in his full corporeal goat form. And the whole diversion where we go off to Bavaria to see Krampus for help, it's just it's a completely different movie. And of course this is following after the time we spend in Aruba with Nick Kroll's middleman black market character, who also his performance is completely out of whack tonally. And again, just commit to a few different lanes. I think it'd be a lot more fun because there's some, again, amusing elements in this movie with the technology that Santa and the ELF all have, where they can like shrink and increase the size of themselves and inanimate objects like cars and toys and stuff. And like some of the action elements there actually are fun because there's like a cleverness or a uniqueness to them, at least in fits and starts. The Rock, as I said, he just can't help but take himself incredibly seriously these days, and his lack of humor and complete absence of self-deprecation these days just makes him way less fun to be with than he used to be. I don't know, 5+ years ago. He's just, for a charismatic guy, he just feels increasingly one note these days, and I couldn't help but chuckle. But like during this early scene where the Santa kidnapping is happening, Calum is in hot pursuit, trying to prevent the escape, from happening, and he basically like jumps off the like top of Santa's castle, so to speak, and like careens down, and he's like doing this completely like super heroic behavior that's completely beyond the realm of disbelief. And it's like, oh, of course, The Rock need to fit in these like humorous moments where he dives off a building thousands of feet, and like, yeah, if does it fit the logic of the movie? Fine, there's no issues with that. But it's more about like The Rock just having to push that stuff into his own movie. I think the buddy cop stuff between Evans and Johnson is some of the strongest, just because again they're really charismatic guys, as we know. I think their dynamics are good. The stuff that really doesn't work for me is everything with Jack's family life. There's just not enough time dedicated to it. We did not need it at all. Lucy Liu also completely wasted in the thankless role. It's supposed to evoke like Nick Fury, this like international mythological society, or FBI, International Interpol, that like monitors all the magical stuff in the world, not just Santa, other things as well. Almost like suggesting that like future franchise potential with the movie, perhaps. I don't know. She doesn't have a whole lot to do. She gets like a token like action sequence at the very end, at least. But yeah, Red One. I liked the first 20 minutes. I was pretty entertained, and then the movie just increasingly like diminishing returns you, which is like, okay, I get it. And like, I think the snowman fight was pretty fun, but everything with Krampus didn't really work for me. And then the last half of the movie is pretty dull. Yeah, not that good. It is funny that Chris Evans has been on a pretty poor run of form movie choice wise, apart from the first Knives Out. And of course, we know The Rock has been not doing too well, Black Adam notwithstanding. He'll get picked up voice work wise with Moana too, we know. But yeah, Red One. It's amusing in moments, but really just I think a bit ill conceived in terms of what it actually could have been. I think if the movie was a bit developed down into something a bit easier to distill. I don't know. It's whatever. What'd you think of Red One? Let me know. Did you like it more than me? And of course, for more movie reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.